Welcome to your extended forecast. This is for the week of May 20th. Now, if you found yourself here because you saw the mini forecast that goes out on Instagram, welcome over to YouTube. This is going deeper into that reading. And if you're just discovering this, don't worry, you don't have to go check out that video. We're going to go into depth here. Now, if these resonate, if these land, make sure that you take some notes or you think about what is resonating with you the most so you can implement, so you can take some next steps and really integrate this information. Now, simply listening might be the light bulb moment that you need, but if you are called towards more action, I just invite you to make it a priority to take it. And of course, if you would like to go deeper and make this more personal, there's a few different ways for you to do that in the description below. Now, today's reading was about finances, money, abundance, and specifically, and I'll show you the three cards that came out on the mini forecast. We had the Two of Swords in reverse, we had the Queen of Wands, and the Five of Pentacles. Now, the overall message and meaning from these cards that really came through so strongly is that there is this miscommunication going on in your mind, in your beliefs, in just the way you're wired when it comes to money and finances. And really interestingly, it's a bit of a black and white mentality that is throwing you off course when it comes to having and holding the abundance that you actually desire and actually totally deserve. Now, this black and white thinking has you a little bit stuck in, what I sort of deem it as this kind of queen energy, like everything should just be abundance and luxury and easy peasy. And I could, travel the world, do all the things I want and never actually have to think or worry or stress about money, which is combated by what might feel more like a realistic, if a bit hopeless, reality and mindset of money is struggle, money is hard, money is just one of those things that you have to grasp and claw at and somehow, pour all this blood, sweat, and tears into for a little bit of a return. And this is the black and white kind of nature of today's reading. This mindset that, we're aiming for everything to be absolutely perfect so that it is not this devastating dark hole of despair. And these are our only two options. Money is fabulous or money is freaking not fabulous. Insert whatever word resonates with you on that end of the spectrum. Now, this in and of itself, even though it's nice to think we could all be, queening it up or kinging it up or empressing it up, whatever resonates with you, this in and of itself is a very unhelpful and unhealthy kind of situation to be in, good or bad, right or wrong, up or down. This is not the scale we want to be measuring your abundance by. So this more in-depth reading, now that I start to pull some new cards for you, is about exploring, well, if this isn't the way, what is the way? Now, as I go through and pull more cards and pose more questions and get more insights and messages for you, I really ask you to invite your intuition into the conversation as well. What resonates with you? What lands with you? What are you called to do with this information? It's a two-way street. It's a two-way conversation, maybe a three-way conversation because, guide, source, spirit, universe, all that going on. But make this mean something for you. And some of it may not resonate. Some of it sounds like, oh, that wasn't meant for me. Totally cool. Trust yourself, trust your intuition, let it pass you by if it's not meant for you. Now, with the Work Your Light Oracle deck, I'm going to shuffle and pull some cards around how this can be an opportunity, like what can help you move forward? What can help you really step up and into a much more full spectrum approach when it comes to abundance? We're no longer black and whiting it. We're a full rainbow when it comes to money, abundance with ease and grace. So let's work our light and see what comes up and through. Just gonna get 2 or 3 cards. There's our first one. That one wants to speak, and this one. On the bottom, we have, where are you being called to journey to? This question coming up in this moment, in this context, in the area of opportunity, I see this as an invitation for you to get clear on not just what money you want, but how do you desire to call that in? How do you desire to receive it? How do you desire to spend it? Sometimes when we're thinking about, I need to make more, I need to do better, I need to get ahead, it can be a bit hazy and murky when it comes to the details. This isn't asking you, to make a spreadsheet. This is saying, let's get really clear on what feels good to you when it comes to calling in that abundance. So, that question one more time, where are you being called to journey to? Really think about the full scope of the journey, calling in the money, creating the money, spending the money, receiving the money, sharing the money. Like, what is that whole approach? What is the whole journey? Where are you being called to journey to? Now, let's have a look at what cards flipped up and out. All right. So, the first card is another question. How can you mother yourself? The Star Mother. So when I see this card, what's coming through strongly for me when it comes to this, well, if we're breaking free from this cycle and circumstance, this might mean a reparenting, a remothering when it comes to your finances. So really think about, I'm getting the words here like nurture. How can you nurture your relationship with money? How can you nurture yourself when it comes to how you feel in this relationship? Like your relationship with money is a literal relationship. You have thoughts about it, you have feelings about it, you take actions on it, you interact with it, you think about it, you love it, you hate it. Like there's all of these things going on. So when it comes to this relationship, how can you nurture it? How can you look after it? How would you like to maybe be the parent in this relationship? Like show money not only how you want to be treated, but treat it the way that you think it would want to be treated as well. This is such an interesting energy coming up and through in the area of finance. For some of you, maybe not all of you, this is also an invitation to think about, well, how did your mother or parent or guardian, like whoever sort of sits in this place in your mind, how did they have a relationship with money? What did that teach you? And consider, do I want to pass along those messages? Do I want to reenact that relationship? Or am I ready to set a different tone when it comes to this area of my life? Finances. Very, very interesting. Our second card here, unbound, releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. Simply put, what has gone on before hasn't been that helpful. It may feel like a tether, like an anchor, like a weight around your neck, your shoulders, whatever. And that simply doesn't have to be the case. Now, specifically, I'm being called to the word contracts here. Maybe there are some contracts in your life, whether, that's a contract on a house, on a car, with a job, with a business, with a coach, with a mentor, like whoever or whatever. There are contracts here that maybe you want to step out of. Sometimes we can have these stories of, I need to do a certain thing in order to get to a certain place. And it's very rigid and it's very black and white and it's actually quite narrow and restrictive. Have a look around at your life and consider, are all the sort of contracts, whether, signed on paper or simply, emotional or mental or social contracts, do all of these serve me? Am I, let's say, am I actually in alignment with these contracts? Do they bring me up or do they hold me down? Are they expansive? Are they contracted? Do they work for me or do I need to let them go? So have a little bit of a think on the contracts in your life, whether literal or whatever the opposite of literal is, not literal, figurative perhaps, and let go of the ones, like genuinely let go of the ones that are not serving you. This could also really represent as well that there is more sort of emotional, mental, and energetic tethers when it comes to what is holding you back with your money and your financial reality. So consider, even just on a intangible level, what do I need to let go of? Maybe it's a thought, maybe it's a memory, maybe it's a story, maybe it's something that you know has been there, like this, oh, money is just hard to come by, or my family doesn't do well with money, or if I do get money, I'll just waste it. Like whatever's coming up and through in this moment, you get to free yourself from those stories. You get to sever those sort of energetic tethers that are holding you back into a past and onto a path that does not align with you. And our final one, break the chain, ancestral patterns, healing, rewriting the future. This one is just doubling down on what we were just talking about. More specifically, when it comes to your family, your ancestral, even your past lives, what baggage is being brought along that maybe sets you up for this feast and famine, black and white kind of mentality, and consciously bringing it to the forefront. Maybe you're journaling, maybe you're meditating, maybe you're reflecting, maybe you work with a coach or a counselor or something like that in order to go deeper into this and get to the truth and get to the root of it. And in that place of conscious awareness, you get to decide, do I keep this? Do I let it go? It may be that simple. It may require more work, but it is an option that you get to consider. So these are three very powerful messages when it comes to the opportunities of like, well, how do I rewire my wealth reality? It's through doing this work. There's remothering, there's untethering, there's this sort of healing and releasing element as well. We also see sort of a through line here where they're all very much acknowledging that the past may not have really influenced you in a way that is supportive of the future you want to create. So let's get clear, let's get conscious, let's see what happens once this baggage is dropped. Now, I also wanted to pull some of these cards. They're called Heal Yourself, I believe. The information of the decks I use will be below as well, by the way. And what I specifically want from this deck, because I know it's helpful not just to be looking at the rainbows, but actually have a look to see if there's any rain clouds as well. What might be an obstacle? What might be a challenge? The reason I bring this to our attention is so that you can have a really good overview of what might be needed and necessary through this journey, or if you want to walk this path. Okay. Getting the sense we'll probably have two cards here. Good. On the bottom, we have cycles. This to me is just acknowledging this has been a cycle. This has been a habit. This has been a reoccurring situation with your finances. If you've been in feast and famine, track that cycle. See, what are the signs of when I'm going into feast, when I'm going into famine, what's happening there? Because often not we get to, but we look at our life and we're like, oh my God, this thing is happening. Freak out, catastrophize, oh my God, drama. But when we really look back and connect the dots, we're like, oh, I've been through this. I've been through this quite a few times. And everything obviously makes sense in hindsight, but this is your opportunity to look for those patterns, to see what's going on, and to, if it's necessary, and if it's something you want, break the cycle. Let's look at our cards. We've got procrastination. The obstacle might just be putting off doing this work. That might mean putting off doing the healing work, putting off breaking the cycle, putting off actually thinking about, well, what do I want instead? So procrastination can be the number one damager to this growth and healing and awakening journey. But you see this now. We've shown a light on it. Look at it right in the face. Am I going to procrastinate, or am I going to allow myself to move through this chapter of black and white thinking when it comes to my finances and embrace this beautiful rainbow of abundance? Procrastination might also be you are procrastinating just in general. So look at the areas of your life where you're procrastinating and think about how is that maybe connected to or influencing or even affecting your finances and your abundance. I know sometimes when I'm procrastinating, I might go to cafes more, I eat out more, I'm not as conscious of how I'm spending my money because I'm just spending my time procrastinating and doing other things. That, obviously, if I examine it, I am in this moment, has an impact on my finances because it's, finances going out, not necessarily finances coming in. So think about these areas that you are procrastinating in. And it might not be that literal of like, I'm procrastinating by spending money. You might find you're procrastinating when it comes to your work or your business or your relationship because of maybe the stress of finances or what actually is happening in that area. So get a little bit curious and investigate a little bit how this might be a mirror of what is happening in your finances. It won't always be so literal as money in and money out. Our next card, when it comes to what might be a challenge or an obstacle in this area of growth, is we have sexual arts. Now, I don't see this talking about sex specifically. This is more about two sort of things. One is coming through in the masculine and in the feminine. How are you spending, making, relating with your money? Maybe it's been in a very hyper masculine, strict, structured, dominant kind of way, and it's simply not in alignment with your energy. Or perhaps you've been more passive and receptive when it comes to your finances, and we need a little bit more of this masculine fire and energy. So consider again, we're zooming out, we're getting a bit figurative, we're being a little bit curious. How is my energetic, what's it called, like masculine and feminine energy working with, or maybe working against my abundance, my finances, how I give and receive money? Another more literal interpretation of this card that is coming through is thinking about your maybe intimate relationship. So whether that's with a partner, whether that's with your husband or wife, um, or even past intimate partners, romantic partners, sexual partners, thinking about the stories, the beliefs, the tethers and the ties that are influencing your finances in this moment. Perhaps you, coming back to that contract thing before, a marriage, you bought a house with someone, you went in on a business with a partner. These might be things that need to be re examined. Just because you are here to take responsibility for your financial reality doesn't negate the fact that other people might influence it. So, obstacles could be other people in your life, like a partner, like a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, a wife, and take that into consideration, both in the physical, how they might be impacting you, but also just the mental, emotional, energetic. How might they have influenced you or be sort of shifting your perspective on this situation? I feel that this is very complete. There was a lot of guidance, a lot of think about this, apply that, consider this, reflect on that. So I think this is enough information for this week. It's only a weekly forecast, of course, so I can't just dump a million things on you. What I invite you to do from here is take a few moments after you watch this video to jot down what resonated. That might simply be the cards that resonated, the questions that landed, or actions you've decided to take from here. Make this useful, not just magical. I would also totally love if you liked this, if you shared this, if you subscribed and did all the things. That would really support me. My intention is we're going to do this moving forward, and I'd love to see you again. And I'd love to hear from you what landed, what resonated, and what came up and through for you. Thank you for joining me for our weekly forecast for May 20th and the week ahead. And I will see you next time.